College of Education and Research, PCER, Panvel, it gives me immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you to its online live webinar on ethical teacher behavior modifications for enhancing professionalism. I am yours truly, Ms. Anuradha Jaiswal, faculty member with PCER New Panvel. Today in this webinar, we have with us our distinguished speaker, Dr. Anuradha Jaiswal, who is an academic director with James Group of Schools, Nasik, our respected principal madam, Dr. Sally Enos, and our faculty members from PCER Panvel. I once again welcome you all to this session. Today, hosting this online webinar live for more than 300 participant registrations fills us with pride, and we owe this success to our management of Mahatma Education Society, our dynamic and visionary leaders, Dr. K.M. Vasudevan Pillai sir and Dr. Daphne Pillai ma'am, for being the source of motivation and support for all our endeavors. Today's webinar brings to us a very important aspect of teacher development. Around the world, the role and functioning of schools is changing, and so is what is expected of teachers. The education scenario has never been as dynamic as it is now in this 21st century. We have come a long way from the information age to the knowledge era to finally today the people's era. People work with people, and being able to handle this people's relationship and conduct oneself professionally in the work environment makes or mars the development of a teacher and of the entire system. Teaching is a noble profession, as we all know, but it takes a lot on the part of the entire system to keep it noble, and the teachers play a major role in maintaining the sanctity of this noble profession. Yes. A teaching qualification may help in pedagogical aspects of teaching learning, but it is only through mindfulness and thoughtful deliberation that one is able to understand and incorporate professionalism. So the aim of today's webinar is to deliberate on these key issues related to teacher professionalism, identification of the common challenges one faces, and to share the best practices to keep up the high standards of professionalism. So on this note, I now take this opportunity to invite our principal, Dr. Sally Enos, to kindly inaugurate this webinar organized by the IQAC of the Pillai College of Education and Research, New Panvel. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anuradha ma'am, and it's indeed a pleasure. Welcome to one and all to this webinar. At the onset, I would like to say I thank God for this opportunity and the privilege to speak in this occasion, especially today. Before I inaugurate the session, I would like to speak about the special day that we all MES people are in. 50 years ago, on 24th July 1970, an idea incubated in the minds of our founders, Dr. K.M. Vasudevan Pillai and late Shri M.P. Pillai. It developed and established in the form of a small English medium school in Chembur. In the course of this journey, our present secretary, Dr. Daphne Pillai, along with Dr. K. Vasudevan Pillai, CEO and chairman of MES, groomed and nurtured the sapling to a mighty oak tree. MES now caters to 50 institutions, including the playgroups, school education affiliated to state board, central board, international boards, and higher education affiliated to University of Mumbai in the areas of degree in architecture, postgraduate degree, and degree in commerce, science, arts, in engineering, in management, and in education. The love, care, and concern of our mentors towards all connected with MES have been extremely inspiring and motivating for us to do better and better every day. The Pillai group of institutions are privileged to have the support and guidance of our vibrant, dynamic, approachable Chief Operating Officer of MES, Dr. Priyam Pillai, and Deputy CEO of MES, Mr. Pranav Pillai. Especially during this lockdown, they personally ensured that every institute is equipped with the know-how of technology and provided us with the relevant platforms to use these technologies. Our sincere gratitude to our management board for providing us with the financial support, healthcare, and ensuring our well-being throughout the 50 years of this journey. At this note, I would like to just read a letter sent by our mentor, founder, Dr. K. Vasudevan Pillai, to all the Pillai group of institutions. Just the snippet of it, I will read it. The last part, an inspiring note says, the achievements of the past 50 years have laid a strong foundation for our future. Today, we look forward to the next 50 years. There are challenges ahead of us, but we have had challenges in our past too. We will get through this the same way as we have done before by adhering to our core values. Even in these unprecedented times, MES will strive to provide the highest quality of education to our students, one that will develop their minds and spirits, and education that will prepare them to face the challenges of this world, knowing that they are ready to meet any challenge because we have prepared them well for it. Finally, on this milestone moment in our history, we appreciate the hard work and efforts put in by all our stakeholders, namely our heads of institutions, our teaching and non-teaching staff, students, parents, and alumni who over these past 50 years have played the most important part in our success story. That is Dr. K. Vasudevan Pillai for all of us, and a very inspiring and a touching note for all of us. To continue with the content that I have for you, I want to also present my own college. My own college, Pillai College of Education and Research, located in Khanda Colony, is one such risk our mentor had taken long back in 1990 by establishing a school in a place where there was hardly any connectivity, communication, or transport. This risk-taking ability of Sir came up with one more institution in 2007, that is PCR Khanda Colony. We are 13 years old, and in this journey, we have got ourselves accredited with NAC, A grade 3.31. And this was only possible because of the teamwork, because of the cohesive nature of our teaching and non-teaching staff, the cooperation and commitment of our students and alumni, and definitely a very active IQAC that we have. I thank all my staff, my students, and my alumni for bringing us in this journey of 13 years. Today, as a step of quality enhancement and sustenance, one of the measures is today's webinar, which is a very good topic that we have taken, that is ethical behavioral modification of teachers and professionalism. And that is the need of the hour. And I congratulate Mrs. Namrata Saxena for selecting the topic, for aptly choosing a very good resource person for this particular topic, and also for doing all the detailings of this webinar that was required. So our event convener, Mrs. Namrata Saxena, I would like to congratulate her and wish her all the best. And I would also welcome and extend my gratitude and appreciation to Dr. Anuradha Jaiswal, who has so graciously accepted our invite and has volunteered to give a consent to this particular topic. And ma'am, we are waiting to hear from you so that we would bring about the changes that you are going to share with us for a better quality education. Thank you so much, everybody, and most welcome. I take this opportunity to inaugurate the session and let the session begin. Over to you, Namrata Saxena ma'am, for the further proceedings. Thank you. I think there has been an issue there and Namrata ma'am has gone offline. Hello. Is it a connectivity issue?
Namrata ma'am has lost her connectivity. She'll be back in some time. So by then, I request ma'am, Jaiswal ma'am, if she could begin her session, Namrata ma'am will join back. Welcome, Jaiswal ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I would just like to say, I would just like to extend my thanks to the management of MES.
Yeah.
Dr. Sally, knows heard a lot about you, ma'am, and Professor Namrata and the complete technical team for giving us support. It is my great pleasure to have been invited and extended an invite, which I was really looking forward to speak on this particular topic. Thank you, Dr. Sally. I just wanted Namrata to put up the slides so that I can go ahead with my session.
Okay, ma'am. I'll just get in touch with her.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, we'll put up the slideshow immediately. Yeah,
sure.
Just give us a moment. Yeah. Bindu ma'am, can you share the screen, please?
By the time when I start talking about it and when I start sharing the screen, I'll have to shut off my video. I'll have to put it off so that I can just read the screen and then discuss my topic, because that is how the technicalities have worked out.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
I think so. By the time we all adjust, welcome all the students, the staff, the alumni, and everyone for this particular session. It is a great pleasure. I have been a teacher educator. I have taught for more than 20 years abroad also, and in India also. Being a teacher educator in India, teaching in IGCSE, IB curriculums abroad. So the systems are varied, the curriculums are varied, but the basic rules have always been the same for all the teachers. And I have always felt one thing is that why is it so? You have a degree in hand. You got your degree. You have a degree. You're totally prepared with what to do. I have got the content. I have got the knowledge. But are you equipped to face what is required in an institution? And that kind of gap, that kind of lacunae, if we are conditioned and if we understand, our focus remains great. And we become total professionals. So that is what I thought about the topic of ethical for enhanced professionalism came. And it is something which is very close to my. I'm just waiting for the presentation.
Ma'am, we could present the screen for you. Namrata ma'am is still not here, but we could present the screen for you from our side.
Okay, fine. It's not visible to me, ma'am. Should I switch on?
I'll just present. No, ma'am. One moment. Let me just begin this for you.
Yeah. The images are not visible. Okay, now fine. All right.
Ma'am, is this okay?
Ma'am, I'm not able to see the images. I'm not able to see the images, ma'am. 1 minute.
I've started your PPT, the first slide.
It's not visible to me, ma'am, over here. There is some technical issue.
One moment, ma'am. I'll do it again.
Sure.
It's clear to all of us, actually. The others can see it?
Ma'am, if you just click presentation, Bindu S. Tambe bracket mein presentation, if you click that icon, now you'll be able to see.
I'll do one thing. I'll switch on my presentation. But when I ask you to go to the next slide, can you go ahead, Miss Bindu?
I could do that, ma'am.
Okay, because I'm putting my presentation on this side because, okay, ma'am, I'll just proceed with my work. All right? And I'm switching off my video.
Sure.
I'm switching off my video.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. As I've been talking to you, my topic for today's presentation is ethical teacher behavior modifications for enhancing professionalism. As I've been speaking about, what is the need? I have come across teachers, I have recruited so many teachers, I've sat on the other side of the committee and I've gone through their CVs and everything. But I still felt that they are very naive about what is required from an organization. They come in prepared with a lot of things, with a lot of hopes that we are absolutely prepared. We have a degree, we have a content. But there is certain code of behavior that is required by each and every institution. So now the term, what does ethical mean? Ethical, I'm not going to go into the definitions. Let me make it very basic and very simple. Ethical means either it is good or it is bad. Now, what is good and what is bad is a matter of perception. But there are certain guidelines which, moreover, is the same in all the institutions. What is good for the institution, what is good for the school environment, your own behavior, that is more conducive to you being ethical. And the next query would be, why is it that it enhances professionalism if you're an ethical teacher? Believe me, being an ethical teacher, you have all the paradigms in mind. You have complete structured processing in your mind, thought processing. And it makes you more focused. It makes you aware of the rules of the school. And you do not indulge in things which are not good for the school. Your loyalty remains with your profession. And it's just a guideline that what are the teacher behavior modifications or how we should be behaving. Once we see, there are many layers in being ethical. We cannot go into different layers, but one can just see that certain behavioral modifications will make you more focused and you will see at the end only the dot in the middle line where you have to touch and focus and you have to grow. Apart from being a very good teacher, no, that's not the only duty you're going to carry on. There are certain more important aspects in your personality that would be needed. And these important aspects are development about your different skills. Skills in your behavioral pattern, believe me, these are the success mantra for any teacher. It will help you more composed. It will help you being very assured about yourself. And you will not indulge in anything that is not needed. Yes, we are human beings. We do commit mistakes. We are overpowered by emotions. But overpowering of the emotions at the cost of the school, at the cost of your behavior, is no, big no, because it takes away your professionalism. So what are the things that are required? I shall see. It's all given on the books. It's all given everything. But then we have got hands-on experiences about what is required. Now, for example, I have taught abroad in different curriculums. I've taught in IB schools. I've been on the other side of the chair and I've been just recruiting teachers, teaching chemistry and everything together. And Indians also, I have been teaching here in some schools. I've been now, and presently I'm working as an academic director. And secondly, I've been also a teacher educator. So what is the difference There is no difference basically regarding the needs, but the main need that is here is being professional. We Indians we are very good teachers, but we are highly, highly emotional. So how this emotionality in us can be curtailed, curbed to just being more focused, because that's the difference I've always found. People abroad, they are just used to their own work, but here being culturally bound, it does have an effect. We are highly emotional. And emotionality also leads to attachments. And if the attachment is in a wrong way, it does not takes away from you your professionalism. How are you going to be professional? How are you going to be very balanced? And being balanced is the main mantra for being professional and also for being ethical. Next slide. Next slide, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now I'm going to the next slide. What is the basic learning? Am I audible and clear, ma'am? All right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I can be heard properly. Thank you. Now, next slide is based on the learning objectives. What is the learning objective of my complete session? First objective is to analyze ethical behavior required for teachers. Second objective is to analyze critical teacher behavior in various domains to enhance professionalism. So these are the main objectives. See, we all as teachers know that all our sessions have to have an objective. What are we on? My main focus is basically behavior pattern and to enhance how it can enhance professionalism. Now, I think so you can all see a graphical representation over here, 01, 02, 03, and a finishing line. This can also be considered as an agenda. The starting line is an indication where we all have come here for a discussion about what are the ethical behaviors required and what we can help and how we can help to resolve them. The second agenda will be being very specific about how we can resolve certain issues in different circumstances, how you can behave, how you can overcome your personal shortcomings and find a solution, because believe me, getting carried away by anything does not help. It is finding a solution at the right time and at the right moment will help you find a solution, and we have to be very specific about it. We can not go on and on and on about it. So this is where we shall discuss about the specifics, being very specific about solutions. Next is measurable. What does the term measurable mean to me in my particular objective? Measurable means at the end, is it that you have understood and your queries or your questions at the end will make me realize that have you really reflected on what I've been talking about? Have I brought in certain kind of thought process or thinking process in the people who are there for my session? Third is being time bound. See, there is a thing that we have to bound our time. And as I said, last 15 to 20 minutes will be for the question answer session. And the finishing line, the last agenda will always be reflection. And being a science student, I always believe that reflection reflects the thought processes, and once you internalize what you have totally learned or what you heard or what you discussed, believe me, here it's an open question answer. It will be an open question answer session. Even I might get to learn certain things. So that will be the ending or the finishing line. Thank you. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yes, ma'am. We are on the next slide.
Thank you. Well, okay. Now here all our teachers everybody from the education department, and you and I have always believed when the questioning comes, the logical reasoning is that it follows. Why should we ask questions? Because without asking certain questions, just hearing it out does not make you critical thinkers, does not enhance the way you think. Your thought process is a USP in the present market, in the present generation. The present generation, it is that your ability to ask questions, critically analyze, will make you a winner. So the question about this particular session is why ethical standards should be used to enhance our teaching profession. And next one is what rules of conduct should be developed to hold all educators accountable. See, first part I have already spoken to you about, but now here I'm using the word all educators accountable. The term educators accountable, it means a teacher is accountable for their behavior, the heads are accountable, the coordinators are accountable, the principal is accountable, no one, even the other educationists in the system, each and every educator is accountable, because the code of conduct does not allow anyone to be misbehaving, because we are setting up wrong examples. So each and every person in the complete setup, in the hierarchy too, no one is left out, believe me. Even I'm not left out. So each and every educator is completely accountable. So these are the two queries on which I will be going on and off, and I'm going to discuss with you at the end of it. The next slide. Am I on the next slide? Okay, fine, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is why ethics in the noble profession teaching? See now, you must have read in your books. Teacher is a philosopher guide, absolutely. The main important part is great impact in molding of the next generation. I just believe one thing, I keep on and on. Whenever I have been mentoring my teachers, I keep telling them on and on that believe me, your behavior is closely observed by the students. It is observed by the management, it is observed in a visually, it is observed in various ways, and nothing is hidden. So your behavior, it could be any head, even me too, it could be any head, our behavior gets observed by our subordinates, even as by the students. So how are we impacting them? What is the impact of our behavior on them? Are we very arrogant? Are we very rude? Are we very moody? Or are we very egoistic? Basically, the problem with most of the behavioral patterns starts with ego. I'll come down to this particular term in the next, and I feel being ego, everyone has a self-ego. It is fine, but not to an extent that it can affect your relationships and it can affect the running of the schools. Neither the teachers, nor your behavior with the students, neither your behavior with the managements or anybody. So because each and every person is molding the next generation, they are observing your behavior, ladies and gentlemen. The students are totally observant of our behavior. We cannot hide our true self from them for long. They will recognize your intent immediately. So that's one of the major reasons that we are molding the next generation. So our behaviors, and believe me, the emotional climate also is caught by the students. The interpersonal relationship amongst the teachers are also caught by the students. So these are very complex, layered issues. What we talk about the other teacher also in front of the students has an impact. And these things do get discussed among students, and they also take advantage of that fact. Well, in most of the books is why ethics? Because teachers are working as a friend, philosopher, and guide. Yes, teacher has to be a friend. Philosopher, of course, because your own philosophy or maybe your own thought process influences and impacts you to such an extent. Believe me, you must also have had teachers. Even I have had great teachers who have impacted me and who have enhanced my outlook or guided my thought process in such a way that I cannot think in an unjust manner. Because that is the way the mentoring has to be done. Because the way you play out things, the way you balance out things is what the teacher can teach you. Never get carried away by things what are directly presented at you in front of you, because learn to judge what the other person is trying to say. It's not, never take things at face value over here. So have patience. So teacher also has to be a friend, philosopher, and a guide, and she has to guide us, or she or he. They have to guide the students to have a correct thought process, to be very just and able citizens of India. Next part is imbalance between the past, future, and present. Well, in the past, there were very strong ideologies of the teachers, very, very idealistic teachers, very, very, very idealistic. They didn't have money much, of course. Payment has been a big issue. The present, the scenario is slightly different. The students are slightly different. The market is slightly different. The future, we do not know how it is going to come up. Now, imbalance between the past, future, and the present, it is going to be there. The ideologies are going to vary, what it was in the past, what is in the present, and what is in the future. But the ideologies might change to some extent, but there are certain human values that never change. Believe me, they will never change till humanity is alive on earth. They will never change. Values like honesty, morality, loyalty, sincerity, trust, respect, equality, direction, encompassing, empathy. So these are the values. They will be there. They were there in the past. They will be there they are there in the present, and they will be there in the future. But combining all these things, there is a certain ethical code of conduct. And this ethical code of conduct is a continuity between the past, present, and the future. So that kind of credibility of behavior of a teacher removes the imbalances by what is actually required by teachers in the 21st century. The human values, they never change. Next is to commensurate ethical and cultural values in India. See now, I'll just tell you one difference. We have certain cultural values in India, but I worked abroad where I had students from 76 nationalities, and I worked with teachers of around 50 nationalities, from 50 different nationalities. We have interacted with them. So how we are dealing, see, the values remain the same because these are human values, but then with them it is in social context, some values. Over here, when you are a teacher, you already are given respect. But abroad, I'm just giving a comparison, but over abroad, just being a teacher, you don't earn respect. But your knowledge, your art, your way you behave, how you communicate with the students, and majorly, believe me, the students also demand respect to give respect back to the teacher. So I have been we used to have general discussions out there, and they would say, "Ma'am, you respect me, I will respect you." And I do agree with that. But culturally, we all believe in our teachers that after God, teacher is the person who has to be नम्रता से हम हाथ जोड़ते हैं उनके सामने, क्योंकि ये हमारी culture, these are our principles and ethics. Fine, but we are being given respect, but don't forget that immediately you also have to learn to respect your students. No student, because I came across many students of different nationalities, dealing with certain issues, certain problems, certain complexes, and believe me, giving respect to your students at the end of the day, it is everlasting respect for you. And this kind of relationship is there forever. It never goes away. But the ethical and cultural values, the ethical values of the code of conduct, this remains the same in every institution, whether it is abroad or it is in India. Only thing is the communication skills between the teacher and the students is slightly different over there. But the classroom behavior of the students and the teacher, it remains the same. That never changes. That never changes. Because there is a thin line demarcating between the teacher and the student, and it has to remain like that. Next point is paradigm shift in the perception of teachers. See now, teachers have also started perceiving things very differently. They have started viewing things very differently. Fine, I don't deny them that kind of I don't mind that shift, but it should not be a shift from their integrity. It should not be a shift from their morality. It should not be a shift from their honesty and sincerity. Yes, money has played a certain role in the present generation. Maybe that is the need of the hour. I'm not denying it, or neither am I arguing about it. But there has been a shift, and this shift could be for many reasons. There are different reasons. Maybe there's a lot of teaching turnover. Well, that's a different issue again, completely. But even if there is a shift, do the values go? Do they change? Do they absolutely can be wiped out? No, those are the values. This makes the institution or the value of education stronger and stronger throughout our lives. And the institutions survive basically. See, we have very big institutions, we have got beautiful institutions, but the ethos of any institution will always lie with the values and the ethical values that are there amongst the staff, amongst the heads, and amongst the management. So these values or ethics that generally precipitates or perpetuates it to the lowest support staff also. So this is basically a ladder of things, and though there is a shift, the values do not change. Yes. Next point is erosion in the values, responsibilities, commitment in this profession. I wouldn't say that there is a complete erosion in the values. Yes, there are certain elements, there are certain people you come across where there is a lot of misbehavior, where you do not make a commitment to the management. You're not committed to the institution, the value system they play along. Yes, there are many things. Maybe sometimes it's the other way around also. The heads also maybe not behaving in a proper manner. The integrity is lacking. But if we can bring in integrity, we can bring in morality, we can bring in confidentiality and respect and trust, they all are interlinked with each other, because all these things, when they come together, will definitely we can avoid an erosion in the values and responsibilities. It's just a question of mentoring me, believe me. Sometimes it is very situational. People go through a lot in their lives, but if certain values are ingrained, the situational challenges also can be overcome if we have these kind of ethics which are totally ingrained in your mind. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now I am coming down to the principles of professional ethics. I think so. I have spoken about teacher as a guide. I already spoken to you about how it affects, how it impacts, right in one of my previous slides. The next part is to deal, that is very close to my heart, to deal justly and impartially with the students. See now, you may be having 40 students, 30 students. Abroad we used to have 25 students. Over here maybe 40, 50 students in one class. 40 students in the CBSE board, I think so that's the maximum, or 45 maximum, that is what is the rule says. We have a tendency of not being just with the students. Students have got individual differences. You have learned on and on about these topics, but once you start practicing in the class, that is your real test. And I have always felt that a teacher who can be very just is a teacher who has overcome her demons, who has overcome her shortcomings. Because being impartial with the students is a hallmark of the best test of teachers. Then I would give 10 out of 10 to a teacher who is impartial with the students. Now you may be having students who are very intelligent, students who are not so intelligent, students who are differently abled, or students who have got different abilities. So how are we treating them? Are we treating them just according to their marks? Are we being partial to the students who are just scoring very high marks? Honestly speaking, for me, as a person, I cannot stand on judgment on others, but I have always felt that I can never be partial with a student who is getting 99% or a student who is getting 40%. Because teaching a student to handle failure is a hallmark of a teacher rather than the percentage run. Percentage run may be fine because that is the need of the hour, because for admissions and all. But the day you make them successful to deal with rejections, to deal with the struggles, to deal with the challenges, to be more balanced, that is a hallmark of the best teacher. I have seen students scoring very high marks, but they are very unsuccessful in their day-to-day. If you do a reality checkup, there are many students with high scoring marks, but they are not very successful, even in the corporate sectors. Why? The reason is that we have not trained them on the other skills. It is just only marks oriented. Now here, what I'm talking about is, I can give you one or two examples. We have certain students who are not very good with all the subjects, but they were very good with art. They were very good with business studies. So the curriculum there offered them these subjects, and they did so well that one of the students got a distinction also for their masters in architecture. So in the school, that particular student was not treated in a just manner, because he was told that, why can't you study? Why can't you? But here, the understanding of the teacher had his or own limitation. That teacher did not understand that the student's abilities are varied. That student does not grasp chemistry equally as how he can grasp art or how he can grasp music. So understanding this particular aspect, and we are not here as teachers, the ethics and the code of conduct requires us not to find the weaknesses in the students. Our institutions are not meant to enhance the weaknesses. Our student, our institutions, or as a teacher, you know the weaknesses of the students. Of course, as a teacher, you know them. But reinforcing and enhancing their positive traits is the hallmark, and here is where you can be very just and impartial. Believe me, 99, 100, I don't know, I just can't understand. I'm very happy for them, but then what about the students? How have we catered to the ones who are just getting 45-50%? Are we going to give them a feeling of inadequacy throughout their lives? So how is a teacher's behavior? So building up a confidence, because that particular student may not be equally equipped with other subjects, but they might be having something that is great in them. I had a student, she was a Russian student, she became a great authoress. She wrote beautiful books. But she never took up sciences because she said, I don't understand it. I said, fine, you just understand the basic things, how things work out. But then concentrate on what? Reinforce it. We can't keep on telling them that you are getting a B, you're getting a C, you're getting a D, you're getting a E. Of course, you can encourage a child who is intelligent enough to score. But if you know the true ability of the child and judging the true ability of the child, reinforcing, dealing with them in a very just manner, believe me, you have made this earth a heaven for that child. Taking away their confidence, speaking against them in front of the other students, that can be very hurtful and that can have long-lasting implications. So, how you are dealing justly and impartially with the students, that is some of the greatest professional ethics. A teacher knowing that student is not so able, or teacher knowing but then treating them equally. The ones who are scoring very high marks, congratulating them, but those who are not doing so well, reinforcing in the areas where they can do really so well. See, now the next point is again recognizing the individual differences among students. I've been just mixing these 2 points together, but individual differences needs empathy in a teacher. So this is one of the ethics or one of the values that you need in you. Being sympathetic is fine, but empathy encompasses all the different aspects of a child. That child feels wanted. The child feels special. So are you able to do that? So along with your teaching in the class, with your degree, with your qualifications, with the perfect methodology, how are you with the child in the class? You have done your job of teaching fantastically. Your closure was great. Your introduction was great. You used all the teaching aids. Everything is done and fine. But at the end of it, your connectivity with the child and with the student is primarily very important. The next part, respect the right of every student. What happens mainly sometimes is that we tend to neglect students who ask questions, who ask queries. I don't say the student should also learn not to misbehave with the teacher in the class. They should not, but if the student wants to talk to you, give that child some time, ask them to meet you up. If he has some queries, maybe it could be about the paper, it could be about anything. So basically, when you respect the right of every student, they respect you. So it is a give and take relationship. So respect is a major criteria or a major value for any teacher, educator, heads, or anyone. The heads have to the same kind of respect to her staff or his staff, because it is interrelated. You give respect and you get respect. Now encourage students to formulate and work. Encouraging students is, see now, sometimes you can have a collaborative way of working, you can make them work together. So there are different ways the students can form an understanding amongst themselves. So when this kind of understanding comes into them, socializing also takes place. And if you can come up with what they want, they would like to formulate a work, you are encouraging them to be critical thinkers. Okay, now the next point is aid students to develop an understanding and appreciation. See, many a time we teach something and it's just that they absorb something but they refuse to comment on it. So what happens? They should also express their understanding about what they have understood. Teach them to appreciate good things, even in a teacher, even with a student, or whatever the other student has done good work, or these kind of interrelations or interpersonal skills are needed among the students also and teacher-student too. Appreciation and right appreciation. I do not like sycophancy, but right appreciation for the work you do, they do, or they all do. It has to be appreciated because appreciation brings in a lot of confidence in us. We feel motivated, we feel positive to do our work, ladies and gentlemen. So learning to appreciate. Now, for example, the times we are sharing now, it is all the more that we learn to appreciate things about each other. And learning and this kind of appreciation will definitely make the teacher also a better person and the student who is impacted by learning how to appreciate also a very sturdy and a very strong and a very balanced individual. Next slide, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Can I go ahead? Fine.
Sure, sure. Yes.
Thank you. Am I audible and clear?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now I'm going to one major part, cooperative relations. There are different layers, my dear people. There are different layers in cooperative relations. It tends to be complicated. It tends to be very simple also. See now here I'm talking about the cooperative relations with the parents. You have to keep the parents informed about the progress of their child. The PTA meetings are there, I believe. It is always there. And I think so the days are fixed where the teachers can meet the students and their parents. I know every school has that kind of meeting time and all. So we have to be very alert. Now there are a lot of applications also, like you can just inform them about what you feel about their child. So basically these are different things, but the progress of the child, and if there is a problem, you have to keep on informing them. Respect the basic responsibility of the parents for the children. See, now the scenario has changed in the 21st century. The parents, they got a single child or at the most 2 children. Everyone is obsessed about what their child is doing or what their child is not doing. Whether it is right or wrong, well, that's a different session. But just a basic respect for understanding the responsibility of the parents, we as teachers understand that. That is enough. But many a times we have seen that the relationship with the parents can become very complicated because many a times the assumptions and the presumptions of the parents, they can be very presumptuous about many issues and they can there could be a misbehavior or there could be very difficult relationships also. And at that particular moment, what the teacher should do, do not speak directly to the parent because sometimes it is very difficult to handle and it is always good to call the head and request them to go and speak to the principal or any other head in the school. Don't take it upon yourself because if the parent is very aggressive, it can be misinterpreted. even a single sentence, because no one is in the mind to listen that time, and you should not be in the dark. So the easiest part is if you feel that okay, you're cooperating, you are giving them perfect information about the progress and everything, but if the child, the parent is not present, then it is always good to guide them to the parent or any other head in the school. So it is easier to deal and ask them to fix up a meeting, and you be there in the meeting too if it's a very problematic parent. I just remembered one incident. Once upon a time, there was one student. He was a big nuisance in the class. All the teachers used to complain about that student, and lot of things were tried with him. Counselor also spoke to that child, and everything was done. But nothing was working out, and the parent was becoming. All the other parents started complaining about their child's behavior. So it was a dilemma that how to convince a parent, because no parent is ready to accept that the child can go wrong. If a parent is ready to accept that, the guidance becomes very easy. So I just happened to be there once, and there was a lot of misbehavior, and all the students had a lot of complaints because the whole classroom had just collapsed with the chaos. So I just asked the other students to write what are the complaints, and I asked the child himself. I called that child and I asked that why don't you write what you have been doing? The child wrote very honestly. I asked him, okay, why are you doing it? What are you doing? Okay, you write it and then we will discuss about it. The child wrote it, and he wrote what he exactly does and what were the complaints. After 2-3 months, again there was some chaos. There was some behavioral problems with the child. The parent came barging in and saying that my child can never do that. My child is like this. No, this. So the best part for us to be very calm. We should not get. We have to have your patience there. I called the parent in a very subtle way. Can you please sit down? Would you like to have a glass of water? Then I said, sir, your own child has admitted to his mistakes, and these are the things he is doing. Then the parent called his child and asked him, did you write and did you say do all these things? The child said yes in front of his parents. And then I said, okay, fine, sir. This is something that we can deal it in a very positive manner. We can deal with his behavioral issues, or we can deal with this thing. Just take him to some proper. I mean, you can guide him, or we'll put him on to a counselor, a school counselor, or something like that. And slowly the difference started coming in with the child. But acceptance by the parent about the child is not the easiest thing, believe me, ladies and gentlemen. So keeping them informed step by step, because the generation is changing now. And there is some kind of, it can lead to certain things. So always be safe, bring in the heads, ask the heads to speak up, and then it has to be dealt in a very diplomatic and tactful manner. And always see to it that you provide parents with the necessary information. So this is how you can be very cooperative with the parents. You are totally informing the parents. You respect the responsibility of the parents, but you learn to draw the line where the parents become aggressive. Because some parents can be problematic, and how to deal with them, I have given you certain suggestions in an institution. So first and foremost, any kind of cooperative relations is very much needed. And I would just tell the teachers, never disclose school policies, or don't disclose about school things to the parents. Never open out. There is a confidentiality in the school, the relationship between every one of us, and it should never be disclosed in front of the parents, because nothing should be leaked out about the school in front of the parents. It has to be very tactful, it has to be very smooth, and it has to be very diplomatic. Next slide, please. Am I on the next slide? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm disturbing you, but then fine. It's just to communicate.
No, no,
whether
no.
we're on the same page. All right. Thank you. Now, hey, I got an O grade in B.Ed. I'm just talking about a student who might say, "Oh, I'm one of the most wonderful teachers. I got an O." In my internals, I got an A in my internals for my teaching, my skills, my this and my that. I'm one of the best teachers. But believe me, the teaching is very good. We appreciate it. But then it just gets restricted to your classroom. The thing that is going to matter to you is your interpersonal skills. See, I spoke to you about the interpersonal skills with the parents, if you remember. Just now I spoke about it, maintaining a very smooth, tactful and diplomatic interpersonal skill with the parents. Then I spoke to you about the students also, that how you have to be very just and being very impartial. Now, interpersonal skills will make you winners. See now how you can improve. I'll just come down to see. I've shown you different images where they're all are intellect in the school system. Reasonable pattern of behavior accepted by the community. Community over here, I'm talking about the school system. There is a pattern. See, some of us are very short-tempered, some of us are very calm. Each one has got his own inherent temperament. And we cannot ask anyone to change so drastically. But there are certain reasonable behavior. We do not expect tantrums. We do not like anyone shouting in the school campuses. One of the first and foremost thing as a mentor, I'm coming down to you later on these particular aspects, is not shouting. Perform the duties of citizenship. Now, the duties of citizenship is basically the citizenship of your own school. Loyalty to the school system, being loyal. Believe me, जब तक तुम्हारा दाना पानी उस स्कूल से एसोसिएटेड है, खुददारी दिखाओ और बिल्कुल ईमानदार रहो. Be very loyal to your school system. See now, because these are the factors which are going to improve your interpersonal skills. And once these interpersonal skills are improved, your behavior pattern starts changing. When your behavior pattern starts changing, your ethical standards are, of course, moderated. It is just completely monitored. Secondly, the professionalism comes in. It seeps in very naturally. Next point is discuss in controversial issues from an objective point of view. See, all of you are working with one system or the other. It could be wherever human beings are there together, controversies are bound to happen. Issues are going to come up. None of us are perfect over here. But controversial issues, supposedly XYZ comes and tells me about some controversial issue. And me being judgmental or me being a deciding factor, okay, this person is totally wrong. This is not supposed to be like this. No, don't do that. Here I would ask the heads. See now, there are very many issues that come up. Maybe in many schools it would be a staff. I don't know. I'm just talking in general. 200 teachers, 100 support staff, or people all around, different, everything together. So when you are bowling, XYZ comes and tells you about something. ABCD comes and tells you about something. It is a controversial topic. First and foremost, as a head, you should say whether this issue, how does it fall in the ethical behavior code of conduct, and where the things are lacking. So ask both the people, XYZ and ABCD, also both of them, give them different times, listen to them what it is, think about it in a very balanced way, and then come to an objective judgment. Do not be judgmental beforehand. ये ऐसी है तो ये ऐसे ही करेगी. नहीं. कई वक्त का तकाजा होता है ये. हम कुछ चीजें जो है वो इसलिए करते हैं कई बार क्योंकि sometimes our emotions are overboard. Sometimes we lose our control, and being human beings, yes, we do commit mistakes. But after knowing the issue, discussing and coming to know the root cause, it is definitely the need of the hour for a head to address this issue to the concerning staff and find a solution to it. And secondly, whenever this is a controversial issue, it should be discussed in confidentiality. It should not go outside the cabin. Because that leads to Chinese whispers in any of the institutions. Because confidentiality is something that is primarily the most important thing after respecting each other. Confidentiality and trust, they are very closely related to each other. Because confidentiality will bring in respect to the head naturally. You cannot make it a public issue. It may suit your purpose. See, we human beings tend to be slightly prejudiced sometime or the other because it's very natural. We are not God. But to rise above these feelings and being objective is a hallmark of a very good head. That person is a good leader. It could be a leader, it could be a coordinator, it could be anybody in the institution. But being very objective, being very, very balanced about what you want to say is a hallmark of a very good teacher and a head. Now, for example, one thing that has always disturbed me is the present generation, that is the WhatsApp thing and recording of messages. I have seen this in corporate sectors also. What I have always found is it is unethical to record normal conversations. The reason is you lose trust amongst each other. For example, two teachers, they are greatest of friends and they are giving vent to their emotions at a particular moment of time. And if one of them records the other teacher's opinion and passes it on when the things are not right amongst them, so this becomes unethical. Because what happens, the trust between the two teachers is gone forever. The trust between the whole system is gone forever. So it is basically, we are not building a trust factor and the ethical behavior is totally sidelined. Whom are you going to trust? Whom are you going to have faith? Where is your integrity? I agree, for greater scale of, suppose if there is some biggest of issues, then maybe. But for very normal things, people get used to recording conversations, passing on confidential matters from this place to the other place. And that is absolutely unethical. And that is what I feel is the bane of this particular WhatsApp system. Because I have not liked this thing in any institution or even in the corporate sectors also it happens. It has happened amongst family members too, and it has spoiled relationships. So as teachers, avoid recording things when you're with your school students or whether you're with anybody else. Because your faith is totally, the other person, you lose that faith, you lose their objectivity, you lose their confidentiality, and it is totally unhealthy for the school system. So any kind of thing, it has to be confidential. And as heads, as leaders, I'm talking about ethical behavior for the heads and leaders. Be direct, be confidential, and end the matter there with a solution. And secondly, I have always felt that psychophancy should be avoided by the heads and the leaders and the teachers too. Teachers might find psychophancy in students. Heads might find psychophancy from their teachers. what it leads to? It will make you unbalanced about your view. You will lose your objectivity. So that also is unethical because somewhere you are doing an injustice to the school system. So marking a line where a person cannot cross beyond that line, thinking in such a stable, patient, and in a very humble way, learning to listen is a skill. So teachers should listen to the students. Why the student is praising? Is it really? Why is it so? Learn to question that. The head should learn why the teachers are praising. Is it really genuine or is it just to get in the good books? So the intelligence of the heads and the teachers will always be there to discern the unethical part, because their unethical behavior may result in an unethical behavior from the heads also. So all these things are very different layers in the system. I know it's very complex. This is all about human behavior. But there are simple things. Be very genuine when you want to compliment if you really feel like it. But don't play up, because somewhere you are doing an injustice, and as a teacher, the void is already created. The lacuna in encompassing ethical standards is missing out. I'm coming on to the next slide. Obligation of teachers. Confidentiality I spoke to you about is how you can maintain the different confidentialities, and how a student's confidentiality can be maintained by the teacher, and how the teacher's confidentiality can be maintained by the principal, and all. No things should be going from here to there, and the teachers will respect their leader, the students will respect their teachers. So all these things leads to a perfect protocol of behavior. When these things are in our habitual, in a general behavior, it becomes a habit for us. And you do not, and because of this, you do not get involved in any unnecessary talks. You do not get involved in any kind of unnecessary behavioral patterns. Next is cooperate in the development of school policies. Yes, you have to cooperate, because you can even give suggestions for development of proper school policies. Seek employment in a professional manner. Okay. Sometimes lobbying takes place, sometimes different things takes place. Now, for example, teacher turnover is a common issue, but then when you are given a letter of contract, you have to abide by those rules of giving particular notice period, so that because the students are depending on you over there, is it ethical to leave the students all of a sudden? I can understand that maybe you have got a very lucrative offer, but can you just leave your students in between? So see to it. I'm not saying the teacher turnover won't be there, because that will be too idealistic, but give an expected due notice period before leaving a job. Refuse unprofessional activity. See now, unfortunately, we come across certain instances where question papers get leaked for their own private benefits. So, what are you getting out of it? Are you doing justice to the institution? Are you being loyal to the institution? Are you following the school policies? Are you maintaining confidentiality? So how are you addressing all the ethical standards of the school? Think about it, reflect about it. See, because somewhere or the other, believe me, things do leak out. Who has done it? Why that person has done it? And once you get into that habit, it goes round and round in a circle. It's a vicious circle. So don't get involved in any kind of vicious circle, because it never ends, and it never brings in peace also. So please do give an expected due note, I can understand. We have everybody in every institution, people leave jobs, they join some other jobs for various XYZ reasons, but give proper notice, because here are children depending on you. They start loving their teachers, and losing their teacher all of a sudden in between leaves them in a quandary. Okay, now I'm on the next slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Maintaining professional relationships. See, professional relationships make the teaching profession so attractive. Seek to make professional growth. Now, how can the teaching profession look so attractive? Basically, you can look you have to be very happy from within. An environment which is very healthy, that reflects in your behavior. A healthy environment will always lead to a healthy staff. So basically, we as heads, we as teachers, we all are responsible for making the teaching profession very attractive. Seek to make professional growth, yes. Attend certain courses, attend certain mentoring sessions, going for further qualifications, going for different things, but do not be disloyal to your institutions. Never do that. The third point is very, very important. To speak constructively of other teachers, but report honestly to responsible persons. Generally, what happens, the teachers, if you're competing, every person has a different facet. Every person has got a different ability. So now, how can you all be working cohesively? How can you be friends? It is very easy to find out mistakes. Okay, XYZ does this, ABCD is not equipped. Okay, we go on talking on and on and on and on about it. But how does it reflect? The management observes what you're speaking about others. It is not, a teacher might think, okay, fine, I'm not speaking good about this person, that person's image will fall in front of the management or the heads. But on the other hand, it is not only you who are going to talk to them. There are other people also who are going to do the reporting. So it is always healthy to speak constructively of other teachers. If you have an issue or if you have a point, until and unless, believe me, if it's amongst yourselves, it is always healthy to speak constructively. But if there is a genuine, serious problem with any other person, maybe it could be a head or a teacher, report honestly to the responsible persons, because that facet also has to come forth. Because it is not only the teachers, it could be us also who might be going wrong sometimes. So if it is brought to our notice, we'll be very happy. But in front of others, it will always help to find some constructive quality of the other teacher, because everyone has come here to earn, learn, and work hard. Then why such unhealthy habits have to be cultured? So the code of ethics, again, I'm just bringing it. If you're speaking constructively, if you're making the profession so attractive, if you're just concentrating on your work, and if you're enabling yourself to a greater ability, so then these kind of things will always help. Okay? So you have to speak always constructively about other things. Now here is the different teachers' relationships. This is just what I've shown you. Teacher with the management, with the head, with the student, and with the support staff. I've spoken about the management, about the heads, teachers, students, and everything, about the management also. So these are the interpersonal skills that a teacher needs to maintain. Now, the next part is the attitude towards the administration. Now, the teacher's attitude towards the principal, vice principal, clerks, guides, and other technical staff. Everyone has their own nature of job. and our attitudes towards them matters a lot. We should give due respect to each and every individual, irrespective of the designation. There should not be any insubordination to the heads. See, in general, what this slide means, there is a protocol of behavior. How you speak to the technical staff, the guards, your simplicity and your humility and humbleness will always win hearts. How you address the principal, the vice principal, the clerks, your own attitude towards them will also matter a lot. Learn to follow a certain protocol of behavior. Give due respect to the head, give due respect to the principal, and any kind of insubordination. It could be a coordinator, it could be a principal or a head. It is against the school's protocol and it is against the school's code of ethics that it is not allowed in any institution. It is taken as a very serious offense, insubordination. So I believe that there would be some issues. But then asking the head or asking your immediate head or the principal or anyone in the school that I would like to talk to you, and then you can address the issues in a very different way. How you address the issue with the concerned person is going to matter more than talking to other people all around. Just be very direct, take an appointment and learn to speak to them directly, because the heads also, we also can go wrong somewhere. But respecting each and every person, the clerks, even as heads, you also should learn how to respect your teachers, because if you respect your teachers, appreciate your teachers, definitely the appreciation and the respect is going to come to you twofold. And the basic offense over here is insubordination to the heads. Attitude towards peers, I just spoke about certain things over here. Having a very friendly and professional relationship. The discussion should be about one's own work, but it should not be discussing about only personal matters. Because what happens, if there is an interference in personal matters amongst the teachers or amongst the heads, many a times, if for some reason the relationship breaks off, all the matters come out and they are passed on. So what happens then? The trust factor is gone, one of the values go away, the confidentiality factor is gone, unhealthy environment is brought in the school. So basically being professional, that you do not have to discuss personal matters in the school. There should be a demarcation between personal and professional life. Nobody should be allowed to question your own personal life. Everyone has got his or own destiny. They have got their own challenges, they have got their own crosses to bear, and they have got their own problems. So we cannot stand on judgment because this is a very important issue. You have to learn how to keep the personal and the professional life aside. The next is personal grooming. A person's personal grooming routine. See now, for example, I have been on the hiring side, recruiting teachers and all. Personal grooming, I know it's a very small issue, but personal grooming, I do not mean that you have to wear designer clothes, but being very neat and tidy, being very smart, being very pleasant will always help impacting the school environment and how you feel about yourself and how the others perceive, because feeling good about yourself truly matters a lot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have been talking to you about all the principles and the basic practical approach to working in a school environment. I've come down to my last slide, and that is about how our environment can be positive with enhancing professional behavior, having good ethical standards. Be true to yourself. True to yourself, don't try to project what you're not, because people who are sitting there are experienced to understand that there are certain wrong projections. Think very positive. Being a good critical thinker and not being judgmental. Emulate your role models. These are all the different values: polite, humble, and courteous. It helps a lot in the long run. Being polite and humble, it is a sign of strength. Believe me, humility should not be understood as a sign of weakness. And all the conflicts are always resolved with patience rather than showing out tempers or the frayed tempers exhibited all around the place. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, humility and being grounded. You may become very great, will always pays off in the long run. And the USP of a very good teacher and a good human being is being humble and being always grounded. Thank you everyone for listening to me and giving me an opportunity. Now I'm proceeding to feel free to ask any questions, and I'm now just putting on my camera for your vision. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Anuradha, and thank you, Ms. Bindu Tambe, for putting up the slides on my behalf. Yes, the COVID pandemic makes the situation really uncertain at every point, and so there was a problem in my place, and the internet had to be shut off. So thank you for covering up, and this is the excellent professional conduct, excellent teamwork, which is required for running a school and a college successfully. So thank you all my dear colleagues, and thank you Dr. Anuradha for your excellent session. You've totally given a 360-degree view of how we should be with all our stakeholders. You know, your session was really informative, and I was seeing the YouTube, and people really appreciated and found the session very informative and helpful. You've covered the key essentials that a teacher has to take care to maintain a professional outlook in the workplace. So I'm sure it is going to remain with the teachers as an eternal knowledge of wisdom throughout their teaching career. At this point, Dr. Anuradha, allow me to give your introduction. Okay, it is my proud privilege to introduce Dr. Anuradha Jaiswal. She is the academic director of the James Group of School, Nasik. She is a highly motivated and accomplished educationist. She has completed her master's in chemistry from Pune University, along with PhD from Mumbai University in education. The ice on the cake was a gold medal at MEd from Mumbai University. She also stood first from Srimati Kapila Khanwala College of Education at a Bachelor of Education program. She has a proven experience with 10 plus years, UAE teaching experience in secondary schools, including the K-12 schools, also as a lecturer of education at various B.Ed colleges in India. She's also been a visiting faculty for the B.Ed program at the Universal Empire Institute of Technology, IGNOU program, Knowledge Village, Dubai. A teacher educator with established acumen in managing intercultural sensitivity, handling global education with her UAE expertise, engaging in scholarly research, contributing in innovative teaching methodologies, international publication, and training in academic writing. It has truly been an illustrious record, Dr. Anuradha, an esteemed erudite. We are really honored to have you today as our speaker for today's webinar. Thank you for your excellent session. And moving to the Q&A, I take this opportunity to present you the first question. Since you are, into recruitment, you've also been handling recruitment daily in and out, and with the exposure to the international platform, what is it that you really look for while appointing teachers? Dr. Anuradha, I'm sure all teachers are looking to hear this answer. What do you look for while appointing teachers?
To be very honest, for recruitment is a very thorough job. Sometimes the recruitments are all of a sudden because it also depends on need of the hour. But if it is a very planned recruitment, generally I just have a meeting with the candidate. I look through the experience completely. But the first and foremost thing that strikes you when the teacher comes to you is how they speak. And I am slightly particular about how they speak. See, clothes also matter. I spoke about personal grooming there. Personal grooming is something that has an impact. You need not be wearing designer clothes, you need not be wearing very expensive things, but being very neat and tidy, being very, I mean, you have to have a very soft and modulated presence there. And the way you talk, basically, that impresses a lot. And when you're talking to that person, certain things, they just, I mean, you just start understanding because with experience also it comes and how the person is, what is the person's capacity, how they are behaving, what it is. See, now in Indian scenario and abroad, they need certain now licenses to be teaching abroad now. They've started with that in Dubai and all other places. But here, B.Ed is compulsory for school teachers. So, all these things, the qualifications and the way they talk, the first 5-10 minutes definitely. Now, with experience, it does have an impact of what kind of person that person is, and then of course it has to be reinforced through demo classes. And generally, I make it a point to sit in the demos. I cannot. I would not prefer to take a teacher without a demo. I will definitely see. I will sit in the class and see the interaction between the teacher and the student, and the demo is a one. And generally speaking, we don't go wrong when you first talk to that person, and when the demo, they do 95% of the time they get correlated. It is just pure sheer experiences that enables us to have a vision about what we need as a teacher.
Thank you, Dr. Anuradha. I'm sure you have your intelligent set of questions to look at the candidates' outlook towards life, outlook towards their job profession. Thank you. I have another question from a participant, Larissa Pereira. She is asking, how can teachers or professors successfully integrate students who belong to a different culture or country in our classroom? Since you handle multinationality in your classrooms, she needs to know how do you integrate them.
Now it depends upon the what is the lady's name? Can you just repeat the name?
Miss Larissa.
Miss Larissa, it depends on the curriculum. Now, for example, if the curriculum is very set and our requirements are very set, if you have to make it very, very contextually very relevant for the child to come in join. It should be. I would prefer it to be an international curriculum because they are exposed to something. You mean to say integrating these students into our system, and because their methodology is slightly different. They do not write much. It is more of practical approach. The writing part, maybe in many of the curriculum, still in India, the writing part is much more. So how you are going, the flexibility of the subjects that are being offered is entirely different. So now, when the flexibility can be offered in our system or in our curriculum about their likes and dislikes, we can definitely integrate. Because I can just tell you an example with my son. He was very good with art. And he was not very comfortable with other subjects, but then he had an opportunity of taking up art as a subject till grade 12. So that kind of opportunity enhanced and reinforced my child to have a belief that he's doing well. And then on basis of that artwork, he was granted admission into an American University of Architecture. So if our system can be integrated with certain flexibility in the subject, reinforcing the abilities of the child in a particular direction, it can work out. But then there has to be a lot of work going behind building up the curriculum, how you want the curriculum to shape up. If you have to integrate, because you do not want them to feel ill-equipped with things which they are not very familiar with. So definitely we can do, but the flexibility factor has to come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anuradha. That really speaks volume on the need for inclusive education and appreciating diversity in the classrooms. Thank you so much. Any other questions? I would ask Ms. Bhavna or Ms. Bindu to take over.
Yes, we had one question from Mr. Prabhat Sahu. He said that always a teacher is blamed for the fault of a student, but the credit rarely goes in favor of the teacher when a student gives better performance. The society always tries to blame a teacher. Why is this so?
See, this is a very good. Sorry, can I speak? Sure.
Please.
What I understood is that the teacher works hard and she's not getting credit for the work that she does. Now, I would suggest that every institution, whenever the child is performing well, the promotion of those teachers who are working behind the child, it has to be announced publicly. It has to be acknowledged. It has to be acknowledged because I just spoke about being very just, and it lies with us heads how we handle it. If we all as heads understand that what is just, what is ethical, so if a teacher has done such a good work, it has to be acknowledged publicly. And I think so it should happen, it should come from the heads also. And secondly, the part where maybe something the child has gone wrong, it has to be dealt very confidentially because we all are as humans, and I have also been a teacher. I have also faced the stress of being a teacher, about dealing with students. Yes, it is the complexities do come in, but believe me, we have to start now praising our teachers, being appreciative about that, reinforcing them because they are us. Because with us, the system grows, and when we initiate certain this kind of things, the loyalty for the school also grows. For any school or for any educational institute, by fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Dr. Bhavna, from any participants?
Yeah, we had one more question from Sharmila Pathare, and she wants to know how to stop young colleagues from recording conversations in a meeting.
See now. So what is the lady's name? Can I?
Sharmila Pathare.
Miss Sharmila, I know that is such a very difficult thing because technically even I do not know. But now this has to be reinforced and this has to be inherent the way of functioning. First and foremost, the mobile should be confiscated and it should be there at the. It should not be allowed in the school. All right, mobile should not be allowed in the school. I believe confirm that because catching photographs, taking out photographs, doing this thing, doing that thing. So that doesn't work well for the health of the institution. So all the mobiles, I'm a very strict follower of this particular policy. Mobile should not be allowed in the school environment. They can keep it at the receptionist, at the reception. No, they should not be allowed in the school. Now, what to speak outside the school when they meet? Okay, that is now. Basically, it is your own ethical values that is going to decide how you are. Because over there, the control factor is slightly more difficult. But in the school, it can be avoided. No mobiles in the school. No.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All right. This last question, we had one more last question, and that is Smita Chandra. And she says that in this unimaginable scenario, is it right to follow the same methodologies of teaching, assessing, questioning, and, without understanding the mental stress of the students? So is it right to follow the same methodology? That is what she wants to know.
See, now, as I've always spoken, that the kind of assessment, it has to be, there has to be overhauling in the system of assessment. What are we looking for? How much portion are you giving? How many assessments do we need? What is the validity of these assessments? How they help out? So this is what an institution has to decide. Because see, what happens is, if there is a flexibility, see, I have always spoken about certain flexibilities, because it is definitely, people speak about percentages and all those things, but at the end, I just spoke one thing. That is not the end of your journey. No, it is going to have its shortfalls again. So basically, a system, a curriculum that is designed for assessment that is more formative, that can really help more, can remove the stress from the minds of the students. But at a certain level, certain assessments have to be done because then all over the world that is needed for certain criteria have to be fulfilled. Those things we cannot avoid. But yes, certain assessments and stress and teaching methodologies and all, it can be a very fun way. teaching techniques does not mean only being very right about content has to be right. But if the content is very enjoyable in the classroom, the stress level automatically goes for the teacher as well as for the student also. I remember teaching periodic table with my students on the basketball court. And chemistry is considered to be very abstract. So the teaching methodology, to some extent, the stress was removed about knowing the periodic table. And we had certain games and all, but then we can devise, but certain things with the time management, things are not that conducive, but then the system, the school system has, the school authorities have to sit and work on that. They have to take the matters very seriously about the assessment part and reducing the mental stress. It lies entirely upon, it's very individualistic, but yes, it is the need of the hour, definitely.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Anuradha. I think one last question and we should be able to wind up.
Yes.
There is a question. This is, as technology is advancing, students are no longer respecting the efforts put in by the teacher. So how does the teacher tackle this?
No, sorry, I didn't get the query. Ms. Namrata, can you please repeat it again?
So we have Alexa here. The technology is advancing, you know. So how students are no longer respecting the efforts by the teacher? How should we tackle this?
Technology can go to any extent. Robots can also come in as teachers, but no one can take away the emotional touch of a teacher, the presence of a teacher. No, it cannot. It can never replace the presence of a teacher. Believe me, we are not robots. We are not. See, sometimes an expression on the face, a physical presence, always matters for mentoring and monitoring. Technology, to some extent, it can give you extra knowledge. It can give you certain things, but the values of the system, it's not only about educating or getting knowledge oriented. It is completely holistically about the complete personality of a child. So now, for example, it's a mother and a child. Technologically, a mother is shown. Can she replace the real mother? No. They will say the complete right things, what is right and what is wrong. But the human touch, till this earth is surviving, is needed. Because at the end, we have been given the power to think. We have been given the power to feel here and to be felt, to be thought about. Technology is used as a helping hand, but it can never replace a real teacher in the classroom. That is a reality checkup that I have done, and I always felt that. Whatever it is, technology, we can take help. But teacher is a teacher, not classroom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anuradha, for patiently answering every question and giving so many insights through your real examples from your past experience. You know, the teacher in you still speaks, and that's the most, that's the best quality of any school leader to have. So really, we had a great time with you, ma'am. I now take this opportunity to present the vote of thanks. I wish to express our deep gratitude to our patrons, Dr. K.M. Vasudevan Pillai and Dr. Daphne Pillai, who are the founder members of Pillai Group of Institutions, for promoting us and for guiding our path at all times to lead us to the vision of preparing our students to be effective citizens of the world. I would like to thank our speaker, Dr. Anuradha Jaiswal, for her insightful session on enhancing professionalism. Thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and addressing this webinar. I would like to express our sincere thanks to our Principal Sally Enos for being the institution and steer college ahead with her constant guidance and direction. I would also like to acknowledge you to a wonderful team of teachers for their excellent teamwork and coordination for the webinar. A special thanks to Mr. Sukhdeep Singh and the technical team from Mahatma Education Society for making this live webinar possible. Heartfelt thanks to all you dear participants, teachers, parents for your interest and active participation in the webinar. A big applause to one and all present here. Thank you everyone. Good evening. Thank you.
At the outset, Ms. Namrata, I would like to thank the management of MES, the principal, Dr. Sally Inos, and Professor Namrata and all the complete team of Pillai College and the students for inviting me. I really enjoyed my session with you. Thank you so much. I feel privileged to speak in front of you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. We can end. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good week. Should we leave the session now?
Yes.